Miss Ayame has welcomed herself into the story, and she is an absolute blast. I love everything about her. Her general attitude, which hopefully we learn a little bit more about, like her own feelings towards things and a little bit more specifics in regards to her. But her general attitude and feelings towards like what she tells Taiki about the only people that you should be worried about, like their own opinions or what they're saying, are those that you care about or those who are important to you or whatever, right? These are great qualities and great things. And she seemingly is somebody who's like a nice breath of fresh air from all these different characters who seemingly take things too serious. Chinatsu being one of them, as even, Taiki's parents have explored that and it explained how they feel that as well. And Taiki as well. And even within this entire environment of the school, of everybody being so serious about wanting to take things that they're doing as serious, I guess I don't have a better word to use. It's nice to have somebody who doesn't seemingly care as much, who is a lot more laid back, who doesn't maybe have the same goals and aspirations that everybody else does, who maybe isn't stuck on a first romance type of thing that everybody else is, and doesn't seem to have an issue in regards to like doing something a little bit more intimate with somebody else, as opposed to, Taiki making a big deal out of a kiss that didn't actually happen and her being like, it's just a kiss. It's not that big a deal, just a difference in experience potentially between them, causing a complete difference in mindset out of it as well. Has been fun to see evolve over the single episode it was in, but it's also great just to get a general idea of how fun she can be when we see her screaming all the time about the spiders, of course, and then also just latching onto and being extremely close to Taiki regardless, making Chinatsu very uncomfortable and having to really reflect, right? That's the big thing that came out of it too, is her now noticing like, oh shit, I might have to get a jump on things. Somebody might come and snag him before I can even come to conclusion on how I feel. And maybe it's a blessing as well, right? Maybe it's something that she will use to understand her feelings a little bit more. Never really thought about how I'd feel when somebody was that close or doing that when it came to him. Never thought about the opportunity that somebody would come up and take him from me, which are things she should have, because Hina's very relevant in this, right? But actually seeing it like unfold on a different level, especially right after the play, it might get you thinking. And while it's obvious from our perspective and everybody else's, his feelings towards her, it's not for her. So it makes things a little bit more difficult potentially for her to know about the best approach, or how she should feel, or what she should really do, and the security that we almost feel that he's not really going to do anything with any of these other girls. She might not necessarily feel that. So she might have to speed up her own feelings and thoughts a little bit here. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in that regard. I'm very excited to see where we're going. Absolutely love the show. So I'm a little upset that we're towards the end, but I'm very excited to be on the remainder of this journey. I hope you guys enjoy. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe. May feel free to stick around for the discussion. Let me comments for this better seriously going with episode 22 of a Blue Box. There might be a guy. She would also be somebody that's good to get in between and push things a little bit more. Like intentionally, not unintentionally. Her just smiling, dribbling, not noticing any of them. Karen? Karen? Ah, she knows you too well. Karen? Why? Okay. I need all that, but also, why isn't that her? Yeah. Yeah. I love her. She's so fun. How the fuck is that your favorite player when fucking LeBron James still exists, huh? That made me upset. Oh. Only person who's worthy of her. She's about to start saying some weird stuff. It's him. Oh, brother. What a coincidence. She's gonna. I don't. This is gonna be rough. Oh, and he's speaking to her as soon as he comes back. You know, this is gonna get her all riled up.
モリアさん、ここ記入漏れしてるってよ。え？確認したのにな。あれ？あの人
Who's that dude?
1年間留学してたらしいよ。
She's about to start so many rumors.
高身長イケメン。バスケもすっごくうまいらしいし、かっこいいよね。ま、私はユサ君派だけど。一目見ただけでしょ。
That was enough. I know.
ひな。ほんと。
Yo.
おやおやおや。これはもしかして。
The girl from the play has to be.
もう、ゴミ捨てなんて可愛くない仕事だわ。
There you go. Start asking questions.
ああ、こんにちは。マネージャーで関わっちゃうから確認したい。
It will not involve you, I can assure you.
イノタのこと好き？
Who?
やっぱり。
Immediately goes into that. Look at her battle stance.
イノタも隅に置けんな。こんな可愛い子に好きになってもらえるなんて。安心して、私はタイプじゃないから。
Thanks. Be careful here, you know, because you might... Don't be spilling things.
ああいうタイプは押せばいける。長野さんの気持ち知ったら、すぐ付き合おうってなるよ。
Oh, he knows.
もう気持ちは伝えてて。え？告白したの？はい。でも返事は保留にしてもらってるの。私のこと友達としてしか見てないんだろうなって分かってたから。私が伝えたくなったから伝えたんだし、これから恋愛対象として見てくれればいいからって。え？じゃあ返事はまだもらってないの？
He's tried, but gets kind of cut off.
多分。
Why would you do that?
告白する方だって勇気いるのに。
Right, and now you just...
頑張らせてるじゃん。それって長野さんの行為に甘えてるでしょ。長野さんも自由にさせてちゃダメだよ。首根っこ。
I don't know if this is the person to take advice from, though.
その状況しんどいでしょ。けど私は大輝を好きなことが楽しいから。
Something you potentially lose when the rejection comes. What's he waiting for?
よし、任せて。
This is gonna be so bad.
恋が成就するように協力するから。協力？この森やあやめ、頑張る女の子の味方。
I appreciate that, but it pains me to think what she's about to do. I thought it was gonna be her. I thought it was gonna be Ayame. She's just gonna come over for trying to push the Hina agenda here.
イノタ。はい。なんで千夏先輩がその呼び方を。いいあだ名だなって。やめてください。結構恥ずかしいんですよ。そうなの？
We'll think of a new one and just call him that.
いいよ。え、もしくは千夏って呼んでも。なんてね。
I mean, just kidding. That's a huge step. Let's do it. Honestly, if I'm him, I just do it here.
おかえりなさい。あら、なんか買ってきたの？これは秘密です。
Oh, I see what you're at.
少し上げすぎ？期合宿？
そう、創立記念日と土日祝日の3泊4日で。
今年はバド、バスケ、新体操の体育館。
Ah, of course, right. The big three. The big three. The big three. This is the perfect chance, yeah.
何そのワクワクイベント！みんなでお泊まりとか楽しそうじゃん。合同ってことはバスケ部も同じ宿ってことはちーちゃんと
Right. Good for them, and it gives me a chance to get the other two together. Perfect. Oh, brother.
イノタとひなっちをくっつけるチャンスじゃん。だいたいひなっちみたいに可愛い子に告白されて付き合わない方がどうかしてるよ。
If only you knew the girl he's into. Damn!
イノタってそこそこ強い。
It's getting better.
部内じゃ強い方だぞ。1年の中じゃ一番なんじゃないかってくらい。それこそ
Might be, I think he is. No way.
おもりでもつけてたんじゃないの？
He did play a bunch of matches before though.
調子いいのに。最近試合してくれないんだよな。
イノタ
Hurt his confidence even more if he loses. Everyone's noticing.
新しい顔よ。
松岡君、
相変わらずぼーっとしてんな。
そんなことないよ。
いや、してたね。ほっといたら石像化して英明名物美人女バス像として称えられてたよ。
また適当言ってる。
We might get really messy here. It might happen.
マジで部活入ったんだ。
偉いでしょ。
続かなそう。
うるさい。
ま、頑張れ。
よし。
どうも。
Damn, you know everyone.
知り合い多いね。
ああ、どっちも元彼。
どっち？
Classic.
一人目が去年の夏頃で、今の先輩は今年の初めだったかな。ああ、どっちも円満に別れたから、私のこと好きって言ってくれる人がいたらとりあえず付き合うでしょ。
I just give him a shot. Takes a lot to do
あ
that.
あ、よほど好みじゃないなーって人は断る。
So like if you asked, I would.
残酷なことを。でもユサ君のことは。
それはそれ、これはこれ。だってさ、単純に私のこと好きって言ってくれるのってありがたいじゃん。
Yeah, make him
そ
feel
の時は
bad.
好きじゃなくても付き合ってみたら好きになるかもしれないし、なら試してみようって思うでしょ。仮に私に
Oh, brother.
人に振り向いてもらうのと、私のことを好きって言ってくれる人を私が好きになるのだったら後者の方が早そうだし。
She's just
だから命
beating into it. Yeah.
付き合ってみればいいじゃん。
I don't know if I should buy any of the stuff she's saying,
れると意識。
or if she's all just using this as some sort of ammo for to push them together.
戻りました。
ちょっとそれってそういうことなんじゃないの？
These faces.
こりゃいけるぞひなっち。あとさ、知ってる？キャンプファイヤーのジンクス。
Ah, classic. A classic.
最終日の夜にキャンプファイヤーやるじゃん。
A classic.
その時告白すると二人の火も燃え上がりラブラブカップルになれるって話。
うまくない言い回し。
去年ジョバトとダンバレの先輩がくっついたやつ。
Gonna have both girls standing on one side and waiting.
バドミントン、バスケ、新体操部の大所帯でスポーツに明け暮れる3泊4日。
And me,
宿の始まりです。
I have an objective while I'm here. Oh,
あの調子で生きて帰れるのか。
it's like they target her. They know. They sense the fear.
頑張れ。ダッシュダッシュ。
急にペースを上げるな。
She is my favorite kind of person. If you just get more girls to show up when he's like in the middle of his matches, he'll never lose.
扉開けてくれ。少しでも空気変えよう。
はい。
Got this, brother. You got
バ
this.
スケ部走ってるよ。さっき一緒に山ダッシュしたのに。
バスケ部は近くの体育館使うからそこまで走って行かされてるんだろう。うぎー。
Whoa, whoa, why are they getting so close?
なんで身体操部だけバス乗ってるんだよ。
私たちの体育館遠くて。おーい、休憩終わりよ。
こっそり休憩増やしてくんね。
ダメに決まってる
Give
で
us
しょ。
like a minute or two.
マネージャー厳しい。
At least they listen to her, you know? Could be like a really shitty situation. We're not going into like that route, but they could if they want. It could be bad.
ハリウ先輩、ちょっと相手してもらえませんか。
I'm good
今
off
の課
that.
題確認しておきたくて。
Nah.
やだ。
やだって子供か。
You're one of the rivals,
部
dude.
内で一番強いのはハリウ先輩だし、できるだけ対戦しておきたいんだけど。
大輝打とうぜ。
うん。
Oh, brother. This is after practice, late night. This is when things get spicy.
いい男ってのは湯上がりの女子いいと思っても口に出さないものだ。
They just secretly, they just noted in their head.
いうか、
Keep it to themselves.
しなつ先輩のお風呂上がりの姿も他の人に見られるってことだよな。
Instead of just you. Ugh.
俺の特権か。髪下ろしてんだな。
乾かしたばっかりだから。
なんだよ。
Waiting for you to say something.
確かに長い一日だった。疲れたし、さっさと寝て明日に備え。
何を言ってる、夜はこれからだぞ。
We got a full night of activities.
ワイワイしたいだろ。憧れだろ。だからゲーム持ってきたんだよ。
Thank you. Thank you, Nishida.
私もやる。
あ、そこのお二人さんもやろうぜ。
I hate this. This is gonna be so bad. Oh, brother. Got all the key players. We're just missing one white hair boy.
カードゲーム。
合コンかよ。
帰るか。
Yeah, I'd leave too. I'd leave
君たちの
too.
想像するようなゲームじゃないんだよ。いわゆる王様役はこのカードだから命令をこなす。
Still wanna play?
楽しいじゃんゲーム。今日か。
王様カードを引いて。
He's the perfect one for that. Go on.
これでいいかにゃん。
なんで素直に受け入れてるの。
こういうのは恥ずかしがったら負けにゃん。
If you feel no embarrassment, you can't be a loser.
夏じゃん。
にゃんこい。
They're definitely gonna get a card of like, who do you like or something.
ヘアオレンジ。任せて。ゴムとか持ってるから。私もいろいろ持ってます。
素敵にアレンジしてあげるわ。
She don't get a whole lot of hair, so you can go too. Oh, okay.
レアすぎだろ。彼に送るわ。
ヘアゴム。どうやらみんな気づいてないみた
Oh,
いね。
really?
このゲームには必勝法があると。
Is there? I was gonna say it's just like.
あの注射カード、当たりには小さな傷がある。そのことに気づいてしまえば、このゲームは支配したようなもの。じゃあ配りますね。ほい。
She is the type who would cheat at all. I'm gonna feel like she's not the only one who hasn't or has noticed.
俺だ。
狙い通り。
Oh,
前の
brother.
ターンでたまたま偶然次の命令が見えたら。
Of course,
これ
of
はあなた
course.
にこなしてもらうべき命令。ひなっちに見つめられたら、イノタもコロッと。
一旦シャッフルするか。
A little more tame than I thought the cards would be, but
じゃあ大輝これな。
どうも。
お、
why? Oh, brother. Oh, brother. You knew it was coming, but why?
ダメダメダメ。
Oh, fuck. Just say,
話にしておく。
how are you? Yeah, bro knows too. Ugh.
俺の
You can't do both.
好きな人は。
Can you just pick Yo? Why? I hate when I feel this way. I love it. Like, it's great. Trust me, it's great. But like, you just okay. Let me phrase it this way: as a Hina fan, right? That's where my loyalty lies, right? I'm Team Hina, right? We've declared this. Love Chinatsu, she's great, right? But Team Hina, okay? We know what's coming. We know she's got to get denied at some point. We know it's going to be embarrassing. We know it's going to be bad, right? Well, it doesn't have to be bad, but it's going to be like embarrassing, like not embarrassing. Embarrassing is the wrong word. What word am I looking for? It's just going to be hard for us, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of a better one right now. We know it's going to suck. So putting us in any sort of position that pushes it closer to us facing reality, right? It's one of those things we can keep telling ourselves it's going to be something, but we deep down know what's going to occur. So you can't really do that anymore when it becomes a real thing, when it becomes a reality. So the closer we're inching towards it, and as the season's wrapping up, you're assuming you're inching a little closer to it. And as you put us into these sort of scenarios with somebody like Ayame coming in here, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. So that I hate. I love it because I'm all here for like messy, spicy drama and everything. But at the same time, I'm not, because like, don't want to see Hina get heartbroken. I just don't want to see it, you know? Love that girl. Don't want to see that happen. So it pains me. It pains me. I love Ayame. I keep saying this. She's been great. She's been a blast, absolute ball of fun to have on screen. But at the same time, you know that her mindset being entirely different and as carefree as it is in comparison to all the other people in the show who take everything way too serious and have less experience in these fields, she's going to be the person who sparks anything that's really going to happen. She was going to be the person that brought Chinatsu into thinking a lot more about this relationship. She was going to be the person who ends up finding out info that she shouldn't find out to try and push things to be a little closer, not realizing the potential harm or wrongdoing, I guess, that she can do here, because not allowing things to naturally progress in the way that they are can be a really bad thing. It can be a positive thing, though, by her interfering directly through. Would Taiki ever actually like truly think this through and come to a point that he gives Hina an answer, or would he just keep letting this go on the way that it is for as long as it has? Or would he actually come to that conclusion and come to her and properly reject her at some point? You'd like to think he would, but how long is too long is kind of a messed up thing that you typically end up having to face, unfortunately. So I think she works really well as the person who can potentially be utilized here to push that a little quicker. But I absolutely hate the fact that it has to happen with everyone in attendance. That's the worst thing, right? That's the one thing you don't want to happen, because it puts Taiki on the spot here, because this could be bad for. So this is what happens, right? I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but this is what happens. You are in a room with all these people who are all feeling a certain way towards somebody else, but unsure of their own feelings towards that other person. So now you put them directly in a situation where Taiki has to come out and declare his feelings or love for a person likely within this room. They're not expecting it. All the members on the outside, actually, that's not fair. A majority of them are expecting that, because a majority of them kind of already know. With like Haruyu, was Kyo in there? I can't remember. Haruyu being in there, Ayame kind of already like aware but being wrong about the person she's aware of. Chinatsu unfortunately fearing, probably he feels that way towards Hina. Hina aware of how she feels towards Chinatsu. Taiki aware of how he feels towards himself. And then the other girls being aware of like who their friend is into as well. So like everybody kind of already has like somebody that they're rooting for or feeling a way towards. Nishida, not necessarily, but maybe depending on how that whole him noticing Chinatsu understanding or knowing about Taiki being in the play already versus, you know, like how she obtained that information. So potentially everybody in this room is aware of might be feelings towards somebody else in this room. So he can't just say somebody outside the room. He could, but they're all anticipating an answer for an individual within this room. So it can go bad because they all expect something that it might not turn directly into. So if he goes towards and he directly says it towards Chinatsu, it speeds things along, but it gets really bad because it makes things awkward for Hina, her friend, Ayame, like everybody else. Even Chinatsu, it makes it awkward for, because then she gets put directly on the spot. Even for Taiki, it looks bad because he gets directly put on the spot. And his declaration of doing this, especially in front of other people, becomes embarrassing essentially for Hina, somebody who's been vocal about the way that she feels towards him. And this is like the rejection that she doesn't deserve. She deserves it in a proper manner, not on the spot in front of all of these other people who aren't aware of the scenario or the situation and the relationship between each other. So it's a really shitty spot to put everybody on blast basically here. It just like, it sucks as a viewer having to see all these characters that you really like, that somebody has to unfortunately get their heart broken, right? But we over here are not a fan of everybody, and by we I mean me, of us getting multiple girls in this. We don't like that. We stick to one. Okay, and we go through with it, and we unfortunately have to deal with the heartbreak. So it's got to happen at some point. I think he's going to weasel out of this somehow, or he's just going to make things really awkward and nobody's going to want to continue to play because everyone's going to feel a type of way. But I don't know. This got me going, because a lot of the previous cliffhangers, I've just been like, okay, this seems like we know where we're going. This one, I kind of don't, because of where we are in the story. If we were episode like 10, I'd assume this wouldn't happen. We're late into the story. I kind of feel like we're reaching a climax point. And also, weirdly enough, 2 core shows are typically 24 episodes, sometimes 6, sometimes 5, depends on the series, depends on the show. But they did 5 with this, right? For a very specific reason, because they needed enough episodes to end on a certain spot. We're wrapping up to a point where you're not going to end on a boring moment. There's going to be something that happens, at least in next 23, 4, or 5 that happens, that was properly set up so you could end where 25 does, right? So now it gets you really thinking about, like, where could we potentially go? What's actually going to happen? How is this going to progress? And it gets me feeling a type of way. I don't think I was on topic really that entire discussion with what I was just trying to get out at the beginning. But basically, to sum it up in short, it stresses me out. I love the direction that it's going, but I hate it having to like observe it and do it, because it makes my heart feel a type of way. Okay, I think that's the simplest ways that I can put it. This episode overall is just great though, from the perspective of like what we're doing with Ayame. I love just her involvement overall. I don't like it for things can get really messy with her in here, but if these characters are handled right, they can go good. She didn't necessarily do anything wrong up to this point. She's stated that she's going to do things, and she stated that she has intentions basically and has other motives for what she's trying to do, but the card that got drawn here wasn't even what she was intending to happen, right? She wasn't intending for all of this stuff to occur. She hasn't really done anything up to this point that you can be like, this is all her fault for putting us in this situation. The only thing she's done is allowed Chinatsu to be like, oh shit, maybe I do feel type of way when he's around other girls or with other people. That's kind of all I think that she's necessarily done, and put it into, you know, Hina's mind that somebody else is on her side and trying to root for her and help her. But I don't necessarily think that's wrong of her to do. So she's been fun for, she can push things forward and she has the intention to, but she necessarily hasn't just yet. And how she handles these things, how she reacts in a way, like if Taiki comes out here and he's like, yeah, I feel this way towards Chinatsu, and she just starts like lashing out about how like Hina already like confessed and all that stuff, and just puts her on the spot in front of all these people who shouldn't know and don't really know, that's a problem, right? So I think like a lot of how I'm gonna feel towards the way that she is as a person is directed towards what Taiki answers and how she responds directly to it, and the actions that she might do a little bit in the future. But I don't think there's any harm in just trying to get 2 people together and doing something. She's not necessarily trying to like break anyone up or do anything. That's wrong here. She's just trying to speed some things up a little bit and give some people the push that they might need. So I don't know, but I like her a lot. She's very energetic. She's very fun. Every scene with her is great. The facial expressions that we were getting from her this episode were spot on. I love her energy just in general, like her begging Karen at the beginning to try and come out and tell her about Chinatsu's feelings and like who they were for and everything. She's just super fun. And I like even just not wanting to do things, like, well, it's her job to do things and not wanting to, and just like her sighing constantly and being like so against it and like over the idea that it's just not cute for her to be in the position that she is wonderful. I don't know. I love her. I think she's so fun. The other big thing that happens here though is the joke of this is the person describing Kari in a way of who Chinatsu's into, right? And then having an actual transfer student that speaks that language and everything come over here is a funny like bit, right? Like we're just going to introduce this in a way and it's like, haha, now it's going to give her the wrong impression of what's going on. But we have been noticing every interaction with him. He's very close in a way of like to her and to her friend, and like he's within the club at least. So there could be a potential in a way where they're two people that the outside looks at as matched for each other, being like best player on the team versus like international, like legend of the school and team and everything too, right? They work well as a pairing. It could potentially stir up some things. Also, if he developed feelings in some sort of way, it makes things even more messy, because now if he's somebody who comes forward and states those before somebody like Taiki does, it can make things even worse, right? Because she's unsure of how she feels, and then she might be put more on the spot. She might not necessarily feel the way that she needs to reject it, and she might start taking in all these things that everybody else has been saying about, you know, relationships, and given that push that they're trying to essentially give her, and maybe she runs with it, and then things get really bad, right? You don't want that to happen. And Taiki is going to be a little bit jealous, of course, seeing her interact with this other guy who's massive and handsome and great at sports, and they have that in common and everything, right? So he's going to feel a type of way, and Ayami's going to feel a type of way, thinking, you know, that they're meant to be, because this is under the assumption of based on what Karen told her, but also she views Chinatsu extremely high. So having somebody who kind of meets that criteria, that is like the match perfect for her, also will get her going. So like the entire episode just presented ways that things are going to get either really messy or has the potential to, but they don't have to. So it's going to be like really entertaining to see where the next episode goes, which gets me really mad that this is a weekly thing I'm watching, because I really want to know what happens. So I am not thrilled right now, but that is what it is. Say, what else do we got? This is great. I love her just constant like wanting to know and annoying her sister. Perfect little sister energy, but she's great. Karen being so over it. This is her favorite player. One, I just gotta say, I have to say it, right? As my king in LeBron James, I do not appreciate us picking other basketball players and not talking about how great the king is, right? Not praising him, not looking up to him, not admiring him, not wanting or aspiring to be somebody like him or idolizing him or anything. That gets me upset. That breaks my heart. That man is too perfect for other people to not want to be him. So that just pissed me off. But whatever, we'll give her a pass. Hino would have picked LeBron. That's all I'm saying. Hino would have picked LeBron. She would have gotten it. Gets the wrong impression, and of course, look who decides to show up at fucking school the next day. She's a clown. Of course. Look at him. He's so cool, but uses the one for her. She observes, she notices the way that Hino looks at him, the way that they interact with each other. There's got to be something going on there. So perfect opportunity to get caught up with each other here. Puts her on the spot. She gives it away. I mean, you can't go into the defense stance here and expect people not to not to know. He's lucky to have him into you. Not my type, but so lucky. But the problem is he's not pouncing on the opportunity. And that's where that fundamental difference in the way that people kind of like feel or take other people's feelings that Ayame has, and her carefree attitude towards a lot of that stuff and trying to give everything a shot and really figure things out, is very different from these people who don't want to take that action but want to figure things out on their own. It's like a weird thing, right? These people you view to be the safe ones, who are not being too drastic with anything that they do, taking the very slow approach, trying to really get down to it and find themselves and find their own feelings and come to the correct decision before they drastically get into anything. And in Ayame's brain, that makes no sense. You just jump into it, and then you see if you develop things. You see how things are going. You see what you like. You see what you don't. If you don't, you don't. But at least you went into it. At least you know. At least you have no regrets. At least you don't have to see. And sometimes those feelings develop and get even stronger the more and more you know a person. So why not just go out of your way and do it? She makes a good argument, you know? She makes a good argument, but it's just not the way that any of these other characters are. And it flips everything entirely for them, because it gets them really thinking like, well, I didn't know that you could do things that way. I didn't know that you should feel that way or you should view things that sort of way. Of course, getting mad that this rejection's been prolonged, or this answer, I guess, to the confession's been taken forever. I fully agree with her on that one, that you got to kind of get over it a little bit. I like having feelings for him, and that goes away, unfortunately, if he denies you. So she is trying to extend it as long as it kind of can be. But now we got a new member on our team. I love Chinatsu's like little moments here, calling him like this. She's been slowly making those little approaches as she sees how comfortable other people are getting with him or having these things. She's not great at taking that initiative and doing it before anyone else, but after seeing other people are, she realizes what she might be missing out on and she wants to mess around a little bit. And I like that. I think it's a little bit of a charm to her character. Like how she buys the fucking cactus to be able to do it. Do these grow like a normal plant? I get the cactuses, like yeah, I guess. But I feel like I've always seen them like tiny like this too. I don't know. She's working towards it though. She's actually putting it to a real thing. I love how we go to have this camp and all three clubs. The big three are there, of course. Great face. We got multiple of those from her this time. This means I'll have a chance. They get to be together. This means I can put the other two together. Things are wonderful. She's just thrilled about it. Learning about how good Taiki actually is. Being a little caught off guard by that too. And Haru doesn't want to play Taiki, which is a new thing. Could just directly be what he talked about before. He's the competition in a way, so he can't have him getting like too good, and he has to kind of keep his distance in a certain way. Can't learn their tendencies too well. What if you get matched up against each other at some point? But at the same time, he might just be insecure right now. You know, he might be a little down on himself and his own abilities after his loss to Yusa, after seeing you overcome that and be able to break out of your slump. So he might be in one himself here, and he doesn't want to be able to face what will potentially happen to his own confidence in abilities and potential to even break free of that if he loses here to you. So he has to approach things in a way that he feels comfortable with how he's performing before he can finally get back into going up against you. I love this, them two walking away together while all the girls turning their heads to it. Some nice stuff between them. I love the statue idea. It feels just like her, but showing a little bit of potential chemistry and things between them. Plant that seed that there could be something that goes on, or he could potentially have some feelings that get developed, or something could happen there at some other point. She knows everybody. They're all her exes, of course. Once again, the different mindset on how you jump into that relationship and how things are. And him just being like, you feel different once you know, or you view them different once you know how they feel. Of course you do, but it also depends on how your relationship and stuff was prior to all of that. So I don't know if it necessarily means what she thinks it does, but that's, once again. Of course, the legend of the campfire. We're building towards this, so the fact that we did have what we ended off on, as opposed to this being like the full-on thing, is interesting. But I guess we could do it opposite, where he comes out and he says this towards Chinatsu, and then like there's this weird awkwardness between them for a few days, and then on like the last day you end up having this, and she comes forward and like fully comes out and like agrees and like confesses potentially how she feels at that point. Like you could build it to be something along those lines too. Or he could just shut down the question entirely, but you could still build towards this being the big moment instead. But I do think that just because we ended where we did doesn't mean that it's going to turn into like an absolute nothing. Like it still could turn into something, and then you could redirect it in a way where you utilize the campfire to be something a little later on. So here we are. Everybody goes. Of course, the spiders with her, literally just attracted to her. And hard work over and over. Everybody's working their ass off. All the other clubs have to work. I love the little bit of this bus going by and all the girls waving and just laughing at them having a run. Break time's over. So harsh of a manager. And that's one of those things too. Like we could play the story a little bit more where Ayame gets a little bit more bullied, or nobody really shows any respect or anything for her, and they just kind of deny her at every possible thing where she tries to step forward and state something, and they just kind of aren't really respectful towards her. Not that it would like equate too much, but it could add a different layer to potentially how she handles people like that and who aren't extremely nice and view her in this way that seemingly everybody else has up to this point. And it could make things really messy and gross at a point, but I don't think we're planning to head that way. All the guys seem like, you know, good dudes, and seemingly are okay with it. Are you still refusal to play against him? Best player on the team? Yeah, well, he might not feel that way, right? And of course, let's go play a game. Hina, conversation, fun, great. Until let's bring in Chinatsu, because of course we have to. And here's the group. Yeah, so every single person in this room is aware of somebody else's feelings or Taiki's scenario in some sort of way, right? Whether it's themselves or through somebody else, they're aware of one of these girls being a potential person partner for him, and either of actually their feelings or just the idea of it. So every single one has like this sort of idea. So that's what makes this so fucked up. Fun being able to just have their normal times and mess around here. I love Kyo's idea of like, let me just actually do it because it's more embarrassing if you put it off and make this big old spectacle out of it instead of just doing it. Messing around with her hair is great. Fun times until Ayame has a scheme that doesn't work, but unfortunately creates something a little bit too much. Crazy. How the fuck are you supposed to answer this in this situation? And even like you immediately look everybody's reactions. Nishida's like, yeah, oh yeah, of course. Like he's excited about it. But everybody else, Haru is like, oh brother, where's this gonna go? Ayame's excited but nervous because this could end really, really bad too. It's just everybody else. Chinatsu Hina's like, fuck, like this is about to be this might be bad. So might get really rough here. But I'm thrilled. I loved it. I thought it was an amazing episode. Core 2's been absolutely banging. Every single episode's been so excellent. And I'm loving it. So I hope you guys are as well. If you liked it all, like and subscribe. Also, feel free to check out the channel and make comments with this video series. I'll be back for the 23rd episode next week. We are so close to the end. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I swear we need an announcement at the end of the last episode. I pray they're just like, oh, by the way, another season in the books. We're working on it right now, but we'll have to wait and see. So hopefully you guys have a good one though. Peace.